Hello, I'm James Harris, and welcome to the Retail Journey. For those of you that check in with us often, you know that we normally dig in deep with one or two folks about their specific corner of the retail world. But today we're doing something a little different. We've gone through our archives and pulled together a masterclass from some of the brightest minds we've had on the show. Today's topic is the brutal reality of retail. Getting your product on the shelf is a massive victory, but staying there in year 2 or year 3, that can be a different story and requires a completely different set of skills. We are talking today about moving from a good supplier to a great supplier. To break this down, you're going to hear from High Impact COO Matt Adams, Erin Wall from Lunar Capital, Grant Demers from McLean Company, and Katie Smith and Brian Salmon from Walmart's beverage department. So to set the stage, we first need to define what actually separates the brands that survive from ones that fizzle out. A lot of it comes down to operational excellence and how you communicate when things inevitably go wrong, as they always can. Here is High Impact's Chief Operating Officer, Matt Adams, explaining the exact difference between a good brand and a great one. Our COO, Matt Adams, joining him to talk about what the difference is between a good brand at Walmart and a great brand at Walmart. Because we tend to see two brands. The product, the innovation, the idea, the price, all the 4 Ps is what gets a product in. But in 4 years, to any two brands, one is probably still going to be there with a program, and the other's probably going to be gone. Let's talk about the difference. So the vision for High Impact was, so when they went to meetings, when the supplier went to a line review, had a call with replenishment, whatever their interaction was, that they were showing up at least as well as their Fortune 500 competitors. So that actually kind of leads us, Matt, to operations. Mm-hmm. Matt is our operations driver. If any of our clients haven't met Matt, he still has his fingers on just about everything that goes out the door here, and all the people and systems that get it to that point. So from your perspective, going back to brands, operationally, what's the difference between good and great? We already established that bad is operational failure.
I think the if I was going to boil it down to like one thing, because it's never just one thing, but let's pretend that we can boil it down to one thing. I would boil it down to communication and probably a layer of accountability in there as well.
Yep.
But clear lines of communication, top to bottom, and clear accountability for who owns what in the journey and in the process. And all those people are talking to each other and they're all speaking the same language. It breaks down anytime I see it break down for brands or even here at High Impact, like the breakdown is almost always at some level of communication. Either something wasn't said that needed to be said, a note wasn't sent that needed to be sent, a communication didn't go out, or what was said, wasn't received in such a way that they understood what needed to be done. Mm-hmm. And for me,
assumed understanding.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you can solve the communication problem, you can almost always, because you're always going to run into issues. Always. Yeah. Operations is problem solving. You're spending all your time like solving some kind of a problem. Yeah. So there's no, you'd love to be able to just set it and forget it. And it's just not really a reality when it comes to operations. But if you're communicating well and you're identifying those problems as they come up and working together to solve them, then that's really the defining difference. That's really a big focus for us from an operational perspective, not only for our clients, as we build trust with them, but as well as we help them and support them in building trust with Walmart. We want to provide, it's one thing to just call it, hey, there's a problem. It's another thing to say, here's a problem. And then here is a solution. Here's what we believe is an easy button solution for you. Here's
what we've seen work
replenishment manager for you, Walmart merchant. They may have a better solution, but we're coming with not just a operational opportunity. We're coming with what we believe could be the best solution to that operational opportunity.
That operational focus is what keeps you alive. But how do you plan for your brand's longevity? Erin Wall spent years as a senior merchant at Target before launching Lunar Capital, and she has seen firsthand what happens when brands have a great item but fail to think through what it actually takes to be successful on the shelf. Yeah, so maybe going back to your time at Target, sitting in those rooms with people, but with brands, right? What were some lessons you learned in that period that you wouldn't have necessarily even been exposed to were you not senior merchant at Target?
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, I always am stepping back and thinking about the longevity of the brand and the long-term sell-through. So I think there is a lot of excitement sometimes to get a brand in, but like we talked about, they haven't always thought through the what does it take to actually be successful on shelf situation. And a lot of that is, great pricing, a clear promo strategy. How are you driving sales through now would be UGC content offline or outside of the store? Do you actually have a meaningful following? Do people, come back? Like all those questions are the things that I feel like I learned where it's just not about coming up with a great item. It's like the stuff around it is almost more important than the item itself in a lot of ways. And then even since then, what I've learned in this job about that is we made the mistake early on with a few clients of not getting the samples. And, we're all coming out of COVID. This is a time when like maybe you weren't as like hands-on with every sample. And that was a huge mistake because there is something intangible about like trying a product if it's a food and bev product, seeing and feeling the packaging and the weight and the size and scale against what its competitors will be on the shelf that is just nothing compares. You cannot compare it. I mean, we've all ordered something online. Like the one time when I ordered off Temu and I thought I was getting a blanket and then I got like a blanket that was this big, but it's like we've all made that mistake. Yeah, exactly.
You can't fake excellent execution, and you sure can't fake supply chain excellence. Grant Demers, Vice President of Sales at McLean Company, knows exactly what happens when you don't communicate with your operational partners. Sometimes a seemingly small adjustment can completely break the system.
One that comes to mind would be early in my my time leading our Walmart business. I was familiar with Walmart. I had traveled up here when I was in purchasing and would meet with merchants and felt like I understood the business and learned or received a call or an email or something about a setting adjustment on Walmart exclusive items that was going to draw, a lot of inventory. And I was setting adjustment. Sounded small in the way that it was presented, and I was like, well, that seems great. Like we're in the volume business. Yeah. We want to sell more products. So what I didn't realize is just a small setting adjustment can mean very big things for our operations. Yeah. And
how many more trucks teams. That means?
Yeah, lots of trucks, every piece converts at some level into hours of people doing the hard work. And I could very quickly, once I realized, and the realization came when I was receiving a lot of phone calls and emails from our divisions asking, what's happening, what's going on.
Yeah.
And we got through it. And as illustrated earlier, our folks will work late and come in on weekends, and they're going to get the product where it needs to go. But the learning was I need to do a better job of aligning expectations and then communicating both, bi-directionally, both with our customer to make sure I understand what the need is, and then with our operations and replenishment team so they can prepare accordingly.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I've made that mistake more than just once, but it's something that was memorable.
Similar story to that. I was placing kind of mod fill orders in domestic, so pretty large cube comforters, duvets. And this one particular company, I sent them POs all with the same ship date that was the equivalent of 30 truckload. And the guy called me and I said, well, this is Walmart volume. What do you? He goes, I have 3 doors. I can't do 30. I can't do 30 trucks in one day. We had to stagger those out. So in 2024 or more recently, what's been, I don't know, something you've taken away, a key learning relevant to what you're doing, where you're focused today?
I would say a key learning has been, and the realization of the pace of change is dramatic. And the need for us to both anticipate that, right, and not just wait for it to happen, and then do something about it, has been, I think, was a realization throughout 24, but also something exciting to see us respond to see us, meaning our, specifically our corporate leadership, our ELT, I mean, make some really big steps in favor of infrastructure change and investment, IT, et cetera, to enable us to, again, going back to what I said earlier, be where our customers need us to be.
Operations, communication, and supply chain. All of these feed directly into the buyer's confidence in your brand. To close this out, Walmart Vice President of Beverage, Brian Salmon, and Vice President of Adult Beverage, Katie Smith, explains what it takes to build real, lasting trust with their merchant team.
I think it starts with transparency. You know, that you'll know usually in that first meeting, are they holding cards back or are they pretty transparent? And vice versa. You know, I think the same's true with Katie and I's team, you know, as well. And we always want to create a culture of transparency. I think second is ownership. We talk a lot about ownership, and we want to build teams that have a high level of ownership. In our cheer, we say, you know, whose Walmart is it? It's my Walmart. Like, we want that level of ownership. And the same to be true, you know, on the supplier side too. There's a commitment there. And then third, we want to be able to run to problems. Like, retail is fun, but you got to be able to run to problems and have a curiosity and a speed to go solve things. And if you line those things up, you know, to your point, you're going to have a great success, you know, story at Walmart, because there's a curiosity and a commitment and this relentless journey of just making progress. And you'll learn over time and dial things in. But I think sometimes people fall in love with the item and they think they've arrived versus the journey of the process that is the everyday. And that's, I think, the difference of where suppliers tend to be successful and where they create opportunities.
Yeah. So advice for a new supplier walking into their first meeting with you or your team, and Bev or Adult Bev.
Breathe. Be authentic. Yeah. Have fun. Yeah. From there, we'll figure out, you know, everything else. But our bias is always get to a yes. You know, I think about even open call, you know, the day on campus, high energy, but our bias is always get to a yes. And omnichannel has helped get us there even faster.
Yeah.
And so it's the personal story of what you're solving for, the product you're bringing. Like, we love products. And so we look forward to those meetings. But sometimes I think, you know, maybe a little stress or anxiety, whatever, maybe pressure. We get it, but just breathing, being yourself, and high levels of collaboration. From there, we take off.
Yeah, we're not that scary. We honestly do. I very much do look forward to supplier meetings. I have an associate on my team that is getting promoted, and he's moving on. He's about to start line reviews in a few weeks. And I was like, can I sit in on your line reviews? I texted them first, and they're like, no, you're not allowed. So, I mean, I find it to be like Shark Tank. Like, it's really fun for us.
It is.
And so we don't go in with like that level of stress or anxiety around it. But we talked earlier about like transparency and being and trust and being direct about your capabilities and what you can't do yet. And I think that's core for us. I think iteration too, like, these people have years and years of experience, and they're really good at what they do. Like, we have a fantastic merchandising team. Yeah. And so be open to iteration, because you might get feedback about particular things, and it's usually really good feedback.
Be direct about your capabilities and be open to iteration. If you take one thing away from today's episode, let it be this. Your product gets you on the shelf, but your operations keep you there. Communicate early. Secure the capital you need to fund your growth. Treat your supply chain like a strategic advantage. And when problems happen, and they always will, run towards them, not away. So thank you, Matt, Erin, Grant, Brian, and Katie, for your insights. As always, you can find our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or on our website at theretailjourneypodcast.com. I'm James Harris. Thank you for joining us for The Retail Journey.